So do I really believe any of this AFL trade rumor that's kind of come out of nowhere? I mean, not really. But also, I'm an AFL YouTuber and I have to make these type of videos to, make enough money to be able to afford my KFC for the week. Again, as most of you guys who are watching this probably know, or at least most of you St Kilda fans who are watching this probably know, Jack Steele was recently made the sub in the most recent, or one of the most recent St Kilda games, sorry. Again, there have been a lot of rumours that have come out since then. Again, there is a post here that's saying that Saint skipper trade linked. Again, Fox Footy putting out a thing saying there's a trade watch on Jack Steele, despite the Saints skipper and club downplaying the call to make him sub. This is all being reported by Ben Cotton. Again, this West Coast Eagles page called Golden Wings _WCE also said West Coast have been labelled as a club to watch as the future of St Kilda skipper Jack Steele begins to look uncertain. Again, Jack Steele did come out and say that, I guess like he didn't really like being subbed. I mean, obviously he's gonna say that who wants to be the fucking sub, bro? No one wants to be the sub, man. Like, I've been a bench warmer in my days. I'm still a bench warmer. No one wants to sit there and warm the bench and have your little hairs on your legs get very cold. No one wants that. But at the end of the day, Jack Steele is the captain of St Kilda. He also came out and said he's very happy at St Kilda and he doesn't know where these rumours are basically coming from, and you can basically go and take them and throw them in the bin next to the zinger box I just ate. Again, I don't think this is going to happen, but the fact that a reporter is actually coming out and saying that there is like a trade cloud over him could maybe make you think that Jack Steele possibly was sitting there thinking, holy shit, I've just been made the sub. I've had a pretty crappy year. St Kilda are looking to go in a very different direction, trying to get every single free agent and player in the trade period known to mankind. Could I actually be looking at my future somewhere else? And could West Coast be a team that I maybe look at? Again, it's also, you got to ask the question, will West Coast even be interested in Jack Steele? And the answer is, I think they will. It's almost like, could this actually happen? Again, I don't really think it's going to happen, but there are a lot of talking points that we got to mention. Again, as far as what I've said on the channel and how I think West Coast should go about this rebuild, I've been very vocal to say that I think it was time for West Coast to, I think, kind of float through their veterans and move on a couple players. Again, you had a guy like Jeremy McGovern retire, which was a little bit unfortunate. Dom Sheed retired. Tim Kelly, you could basically say, is retired. I mean, what the hell is that guy even doing out there at this point? And a couple other moves have been made here and there. And I think there's going to be a lot of delistings at season's end as well. Again, I've been very vocal on the channel to say that I think they needed to move on from a lot of those old players, which they've already done, and bring in a lot more, not only youth in this AFL offseason, but players who are going to be heading into their prime in a couple years and are looking for greater opportunity than what they're receiving. Again, a couple players that fit that mold are your Alex Davies, of course, from Gold Coast, who's an elite inside midfielder that's just not been given the opportunity because of how elite everyone else is in that midfield. And obviously, like your Sam Butler, who plays for Hawthorn, who's an extremely young, talented prospect, a very high pick, who is coming off a couple of major injuries that is trying to find his way into the AFL. Again, I really do believe that West Coast should go balls to the wall to try and bring in those younger players and should try and stay away from bringing in the veterans and the older type of players. But in saying that, I low-key feel like Jack Steele might be a little bit of an exception to that. And why I think Jack Steele would actually be an exception is because I think West Coast actually have a desperate leadership shortage. Again, even though he's not their captain, Liam Baker is about the only captain-level, captain-worthy player they have on the team, and I believe he will be their captain next year. Their main captain, Oscar Allen, is literally leaving in free agency to go to a different team, while their other captain, Liam Duggan, makes about as many mistakes on the footy field as what Marvel have made with their movies in the last 5 years. Again, he's had a really, really poor year, and he's not the only bloke at West Coast who has done that. So, I do think there is a massive leadership shortage at West Coast, and there will be even more of a leadership shortage now that Jeremy McGovern's moving on, now that Dom Sheed is moving on, all of the above. Again, if I was West Coast and St Kilda are going to maybe reevaluate who their captain's going to be next year, probably take it off Jack Steele, especially if they're making him the sub. If I was West Coast and I see Jack Steele be demoted from captain, and you think he's still got a little bit of good footy to play in him, and their midfield is already super weak, I would ask the question if I was the Eagles. It's also like, and I've talked about this on the channel as well, there is a report that does say that St Kilda have been linked to small forward Liam Ryan. It is believed that Ryan will seek a trade come season's end, and that's being reported by Tom Morris. Again, I know we don't get one-for-one trade swap players ever, but when you think about it, Jack Steele for Liam Ryan would be the perfect one-for-one trade swap in this imaginary world where Jack Steele would actually get traded. Again, when you think about it, Liam Ryan doesn't add any leadership to this West Coast team. He's also a player of worth right now who you could maybe get in a decent pick or a player to try and move. Again, the only thing Liam Ryan is really adding to this team right now is he is a great goal kicker, and he is literally one of their only scoring options. But as I mentioned in the previous video discussing Liam Ryan and the potential of a St Kilda trade, Richmond last year were probably thinking, holy shit, we're moving on Daniel Rioli, our best and fairest, Shea Bolton, arguably our best player, Liam Baker, our fourth in our best and fairest and future captain, and a solid player in Jack Graham. We're moving on all of them when we only won 2 games. If we're moving on from all of them, we're probably not going to win a game. But not only was that not true, and you had a bunch of other players come in and fill the void of them, but Richmond were able to win 5 games, proving that sometimes just changing scenery and change of players and actually bringing in players who are checked in and want to actually be there is a very good thing. And I think right now, from these reports, Liam Ryan doesn't really want to be there. I think he does want to go get some money while he can, get the bag, and of course, play for a contender. And even though St Kilda aren't a contender yet, the prospect of bringing in DeConing, Aaliyah, him, and a bunch of other players does actually sound pretty sweet and would be very good. Again, if Jack Steele is the starting sub for St Kilda, to me that doesn't actually sound like he's too much in their future plans, which I think makes me think he probably won't be their captain next year. So if you were West Coast and you have the weakest midfield in the AFL by far, you had an opportunity to bring in a really solid midfielder who wears his heart on his sleeve, is a great leader, and someone for Harley Reid to really look up to, and someone to take some of the load and pressure off Harley Reid in that midfield. I mean, you've got to ask the question. You 100% have to ask the question, because realistically, Jack Steele would be very perfect for West Coast and what they're trying to do. Like, imagine in this offseason, they were able to bring in Jack Steele, Alex Davies, and Henry Hustwaite, who they're all linked to. 3 midfielders. Like, at this point, they have no midfielders. They've literally just got Harley Reid in there, and every single centre bounce, there's someone different in there. You got Liam Baker, you got Liam Ryan, who go in there. Like, everyone else in their dad who's on the team flow through the midfield. They could be actually getting some stability in this midfield in this offseason. Imagine bringing in Alex Davies and Henry Hustwaite, who look absolutely primed to be very good players, and then bringing in Jack Steele to mentor and actually lead them, which should probably have been Tim Kelly's job, and get something going. Like, imagine turning their midfield into what it is this year to adding Jack Steele, Henry Hustwaite, and Alex Davies all in one off-season. I mean, yeah, These are the questions West Coast do have to ask. Again, as I mentioned earlier, do I think they're getting Jack Steele? No, I don't think they're getting Jack Steele. But you're a terrible football club if you don't ask the question. And I think West Coast know that they have to ask a bunch of questions this offseason. And that's what they're doing. They're going to do it. They're going to ask Gold Coast about Davies. They're going to ask Hawthorn about all their players playing their VFL who are young and talented and deserve AFL footy. And they're probably going to ask St Kilda now about what they're doing with their captain. Again, I don't think any of this is going to happen, but it's still fun to speculate nevertheless. Again, I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section down below. Don't forget to tell me, do you guys think that West Coast could be looking at a Jack Steele? Could this be happening or could this not be happening? Again, I'd very much like to know. Don't forget to subscribe to my gaming/movie channel, which will be linked down below. My sports channel, which is this one. And yeah, I guess I'll be seeing you guys next time. Goodbye.